Welcome back, everyone, to the Produced by Conference Live. It's my opportunity now to speak with Chris Green, the editor of the Produced by magazine. Chris, welcome to the chair where you get to tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, thanks. It's great to be here. What a fantastic setup you all have here. The staff is so professional. In the few minutes I've been here, I've very much enjoyed work. I can't keep up this disingenuous. Yes, as we mere minutes ago or whatever, an hour ago, our chairs were switched, and I was talking to you about your passion, and we'll talk a little bit about Produced by Magazine. This is my magazine, the Producers Guild magazine. And it's been publishing now for, 13, 14 years or so. The Produced By magazine existed before the Produced By conference. We did not name it for the conference, but it serendipitously happened to make it so that the two matched up very nicely. But
now, Chris, for those who may not be fully aware of the magazine, tell us really what it focuses on and who it speaks to.
Yeah. Well, it's what we try and think about. It's about the craft of producing. It should. In a perfect world, there should be something in it for everybody. Whether you're a feature producer, a television producer, if you're producing for the web, if you're producing for YouTube, if you are part of the producing team, if you're a coordinator or an AP somewhere, hopefully somewhere in each issue, there's at least one thing that'll give you something that'll help you do your job better, or give you some kind of role model, something to aspire to. One of the great things about producers is everybody who is a producer had a different path getting there, and those paths are very circuitous, and they make for excellent stories. And over the course of reading, a year or 2 years worth of Produced By magazine, you realize that literally the stuff it takes to make it's not luck. It's a matter of hard work and skill and intelligence and savvy. The people who wind up on the cover of this magazine, no one got there because they were just lucky. They're there because they're fantastic storytellers, and they really do care very deeply about what they do.
Speaking of the cover, tell us about who's on this current cover.
Well, on this current cover, we have a gentleman named Francis Ford Coppola, who some of you may be familiar with. But I spoke to Francis a few weeks back. We've got a nice sort of like long career overview interview. It goes from his days at UCLA, his days working for Roger Corman, all the way through the recent films he's done, Youth Without Youth and Twixt and Tetro, his kind of reinvention of himself. And he's very frank about the challenges of reinventing himself, and he talks very compellingly about how he felt that he had become this giant tree, this giant oak, and he wanted to cut down the tree and just start from being just like a little sapling again, and see how he could find his way and make a new path for himself. It's very he's a very warm guy. It's very inspiring to hear a guy who's got such an amount of self-scrutiny and is willing to, look at himself, look at his work, look at his career, not as the eminence we think of him as, but as a working producer. He admits he can't stop tinkering with his stuff. He admits that, his problem is that he always goes too big, and he's trying to teach himself. He's trying to teach himself at 70 to be a better filmmaker and a better producer and a better storyteller. And that's what I mean. I mean, these people are not resting on their laurels. They're working professionals, and you get a sense of that. I hope that's what we're aiming to give you in the interviews for Produced By. But I hope the folks here at the conference get to see Francis's session, and if anyone does get to see Francis's session, I'm hoping that this is the next best thing for them.
Exactly. For those at home who don't realize it, the synergy of the Produced By conferences, not only do they get to read about Francis in this magazine, but then he's actually going to be doing a panel this afternoon. People can hear him talk, ask questions, and engage with him live at the conference.
Yeah, that's my hope. That people have had 2 days to read this and digest this and hear what he has to say, and hopefully that'll further the conversation. I mean, you'll have a more informed audience, a more informed viewership. We hope the same thing is true of yesterday of Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg. We have a feature on them in here. We try to key as much of the editorial to our conference participants as we can, and it's my hope that folks gain a new perspective on what they're doing, and they're at the opposite end of their careers as Francis is, and to be able to put those two stories next to each other and see the ways in which they're similar and see the ways in which they're different. It's very gratifying, and I hope it's as gratifying for our readers as it is for me.
Now, one of the things I enjoy most about being a Producers Guild member is that I get a copy of the Produced By magazine that comes to me at home in the mail. But tell the folks at home also how they can digitally experience the Produced By magazine.
Well, you can digitally experience the Produced By magazine via producersguild.org. We have a terrific Producers Guild website, and one of those tabs on our little menu bar is called Magazine, and helpfully that is the tag that will take you to a lot of our back issues of the magazine. We have back issues going to about 2008, 2009, something like that. So you've got a good archive of 5-6 years of content, 5 or 6 issues a year. So we're talking 25 or 30 producing careers that are laid out for you in their in the fullest anatomy you can have of them. We're looking to modernize our interface a little bit. If there's a goal we have in the coming couple years, it's to get ourselves a better reader, so folks on mobile devices, folks on tablets can read it. Currently, we don't have a tablet or mobile app yet, but that stuff we hope is coming down the line. But if you are, like me, a print junkie, you can subscribe to Produced By magazine. The Producers Guild members, as you mentioned, get it for free, as well they should. But I think it's $35 a year for 6 issues is what we do. It's not available on newsstands. It's only available through the Producers Guild. And I would send an email if you're out there and you're interested in subscribing to Produced By magazine. Send it to info@producersguild.org. That's our standard line for getting information and requests, and that will find its way to me, and we'll make sure we get an invoice out to you and get you on the mailing list. So we'd love to have you as part of our readership.
Now, Chris, I want to put you on the spot a little bit. You've been doing the Produced By magazine for quite a number of years. You've done all the cover stories. I know it's impossible to choose a favorite, but is there a funny story about one of your cover subjects?
Oh boy, I think the most. I think it might kind of be my favorite, and it was the craziest one. Was about 5 or 6 years ago. We had Brian Grazer on the cover, and I had never met Brian before. Since then, I've done a couple of Q&As with him, and he remains, I think, my favorite conversation. I mean, I'll change whatever I'm doing if I could do a Q&A with Brian. He is just he's a genius, and I don't use that term to describe anybody. I believe the man is a flippin' genius. Mm-hmm. But when we went to interview him, we walked in the room, and his assistant said, "Oh, Brian, Chris from Produced By is here." And Brian stopped watching the 3 televisions he was watching simultaneously and turned and said, "Oh, it's good to have you," and then turned off. And the idea that that the mind and the consciousness that was just processing like 3 streams of widescreen information is now like turning to me. Like, how am I going to compete with that? But it was quite an interview. I mean, he's an exciting guy and sometimes an easily distractible guy, as I found during that interview. But probably just maybe the single smartest guy I've ever spoken to. And what a kick it was. And just 3 TVs. I can barely handle one. So.
Well, I'm sure that was quite fun, and he is quite a character.
It was a blast. Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us about the magazine? What's coming up next for Produced By?
Let's see. That's a good question. I know that there's one thing that's going to appear in our next issue. Over the course of the past year, we've had a running series by one of our members, Vito Montone, who was a guest on the live stream yesterday, about his work to start from scratch a new media property, effectively an intellectual property that will be, a talk show or webisodes. That's the way these new media things are. They're multi-platform, multi-screen experiences. But his efforts at from developing the concept to raising the money to figuring out how the segments were going to work. So that series is going to wrap up. We may give him a final postscript in the next issue, but he's written 5 parts. Part 5 is in this issue, and Part 6 is going to be in our next issue. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that story ends. It's been an incredible journey to be on with him, and a great one to have a chance to edit. I'm pretty sure that coming down the pike, Norman Lear, who was joined us earlier, I think we're going to get him on the cover. I'm not sure which issue it's going to be for, but man, any chance you can get to talk to Norman Lear, that's a good day. And other than that, we're just gonna keep telling stories, and keep telling new media stories in particular. One thing I'd want to say is that since I guess about 2002, I don't think we've run a single issue that does not feature some new media content and new media editorial pieces. We've been covering this space, I would say, for longer than probably any other entertainment trade publication, and that's a testament to the Guild's commitment to new media and to the New Media Council and the new media producers' vitality and what they bring to the Guild. So that's something I've been particularly proud of, that sometimes gets lost in the shuffle now that new media has become a standard part of everybody's overview of the industry. But just to say, yep, 2001, 2002, we were there before YouTube, we were there before Twitter, we were there before Google, we were there before it all. And there were people who were predicting stuff in '01, '02 that have since come true. And if you were reading the magazine back then, I mean, I'd like to think you were prepared to take advantage of those developments. So,
well, and so that's one of the special things about Produced By, is that it keeps all of us current and on the cutting edge of what's happening in the world of producing. In addition to new media, one of the things I also enjoy is some of the regular sections, including talking about greening, the PGA Green, and mentoring. Tell us a little about some of the other features that you all do in there.
Sure. Regularly, we have a section called Going Green. I love that piece in part because the PGA Green Committee provides me perfect content. I don't have to chase it down. It requires very little editing. From an editor's perspective, they are an editor's dream, I will say, the PGA Green Committee. But every issue will have some kind of green best practice, a story of how a particular producer greened a set. Most recently, I know they've finished their they have a study that was completed about greening sets, and what they discovered is greening sets actually saves you money. It doesn't cost you money, and to be able to break that news was exciting, was fun. And we also have Mentoring Matters, which mentoring is a key part of any producing career, and it's really an offshoot of what the Guild does. The Guild provides a great mentoring program for us. And so we take subjects from that, and they talk about their experience being mentored and what it's meant to them throughout their careers, how it's helped them. And we just try and throw a spotlight on those stories and make sure our readers know how important it is to serve as mentors and how important it is to find a mentor to help you in your career. So we're proud to be able to do that.
Well, Chris, thank you so much for giving us a little bit more information about Produced By Magazine and encouraging folks at home to go to the website and check it out or order a copy for themselves.